Well, as we wrap up the show, we can't leave you without showing you how Nairobi was 53 years ago and that interesting turn of events of how the country used to look like. We're having those pictures now playing for you.
Shangilia Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda, Kenya nchi tunayoipenda. Twajivunia sana tukijiita wa Kenya, nchi yenye baraka, Kenya nchi yenye baraka. Tumekomboa Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, tumebadili mwendo, tutalinda katiba mpya. Anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote, mtu mwenye kutenda haki. Na ukipenda Kenya ujitengane na mambo yenye kuvunja amani. Hatutaki matata Kenya, wenye nchi Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Wenye nchi Kenya kipenzi chetu, hatutaiacha milele daima. Kenya kipenzi chetu, nchi yenye upendo.
Kenya kipenzi chetu. Well, that's Nairobi, how it used to look like 53 years ago. Of course, that tune reminds me of the days when we would go to the National Stadium as young scouts to do the parade for the president, then retired President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Well, let's take a look at our Twitter poll question today and how people have been responding about what we are asking. Today we're asking you, as we celebrate 53 years of independence, what are some of the areas you'd like to see the country prioritizing? And I'm seeing a number of tweets here from at MXU. He's saying the health sector. And the other comment you're seeing at this man Obuya, he's saying prioritize agriculture, make farmers feel appreciated. Recent strikes in Nandi are telling and sad. Quite a number of tweets coming through, even as we celebrate the 53 years of self-rule. Well, on that note, that's how we wrap up KTN Business today. And many thanks for giving us your valued company. And do enjoy the rest of your viewing. On behalf of the entire team, many thanks. Let's do this tomorrow again, same time, same place.
KTN News. Get the whole story.
Don't be shaken by propaganda. God gave you your head and put a brain in it so that you can decipher what is stupid and what is logic. I'm appealing to all Kenyans. Let us not be swept by propaganda, cheap propaganda. Let us all work to renew and restore dignity in this country.
For me, business news is not just about numbers.
The push to have more women take part in business.
My first question is about the refugee situation within East Africa.
Have you called off the press conference?
Yeah, I'm called off because I'm rushing somewhere. I've been called somewhere.
What really matters is how does this translate to the day-to-day lives of the common wananchi?
We need some of those components to be zero-rated in terms of the VAT, in terms of the import duty.
The majority of graduates going the ICT way.
Everybody has a role to play in lifting up startup communities.
Their interests are our interests.
So that they can make the right decisions that can change their daily lives. A crop that defined Kenya's economic history in the early 90s. Bump prices for the month of October, value addition when it comes to exports. Absorption of public-private partnerships. Kenya playing host to a number of refugees from Somalia. Heated discussions coming out from the global financial leaders. Intra-African trade now pegged at about 11%. County governments continue to face an uphill task. My name is Abi Agina. You're watching KTN Business.
As we come to the close of the year, it's time to take stock.
It has been 2 years since Mpeketoni went up into flames, and although peace and tranquility is slowly creeping into the town.
To Maria Antonia Barbosa dos Santos, she may be down but not out.
When one comes to Lamu, you are promised of the beauty that the Swahili island has to offer.
Close to 6 months since 100 bicycles landed at the Friends School Mahanga in the county of Kakamega.
From the county of West Pokot, KTN's Dorcas Wangira.
Boys from an early age became aware of the consequences of the cut.
Now, Mark Namaswan toured the region on the Kenyan-Ethiopian border.
The Dashanach remain some of the few communities still maintaining their roots and culture.
We have more episodes lined up for you this month, so I'll be seeing you.
If you go to the judiciary, you'll find there the number of cases where elections have been overturned, either because they were rigged, there was stuffing of ballots, or normally the courts use the standard statement that the Electoral Commission did not ensure that the elections are conducted in accordance with the law, which basically means that there were irregularities and the elections have been overturned. The electoral process has never been considered fair and free. And increasingly over the last decade, the citizens have been engaged in a fight with the regime to make sure that the electoral laws are reformed, the Electoral Commission is reconstituted in a manner that is more transparent and accountable, and the regime has stuck to its guns and refused.
This is KTN News.
Happy Jamhuri Day. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Worldview, this 12th day of December 2016. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. We'll take a look at what's happening around the world, the headlines, and we'll also be speaking to Kenyans around the world to get their views on Jamhuri Day celebrations here in the country and indeed around the world. My name is Yvonne Okwara Matole. Let's take a look at the top highlights this hour.
Historic independence journey and the government scorecard as the country also mourns Naivasha accident victims. More grief across the continent as at least 55 people are killed in separate terrorist attacks in Somalia and Egypt. Antonio Guterres set to be sworn in as new UN Secretary General during a special session to bid farewell to Ban Ki-moon.
Let's begin right here in Kenya, where President Uhuru Kenyatta has warned against foreign influence in next year's general election. Addressing the nation during celebrations to mark the country's 53rd Independence Day, Uhuru said he had evidence of foreign funds being channeled through some civil society organizations with the aim of manipulating the election outcome. He also said the country will reconsider its membership in the International Criminal Court due to what he described as biases against weaker states. Togo's President Faure Gnassingbé was among the high-profile foreign leaders and dignitaries who were invited to this year's fete. Here is more from that speech delivered by the president a couple of hours ago.
The Kenyan cases at the International Criminal Court have ended, but the experience has given us cause to observe that this institution has become a tool of global power politics and not the justice it was built to dispense. We are not the world's richest or most powerful nation, but we are entitled to an equal share of respect for our nationhood, our sovereignty, and our laws. Our experience at the ICC demonstrated a glaring lack of impartiality in this institution. We have started to see many more nations openly recognizing that the ICC is not impartial. Some have withdrawn, others have considered that step. Twice, our parliament has passed a motion to withdraw. We have sought the changes that will align the ICC to respect national sovereignty. Those changes have not been forthcoming. We will therefore need to give serious thought to our membership. The ICC is only one instrument in seeking the choices of free people.
And so our Twitter poll on Worldview this Jamhuri Day, we're asking you whether you are satisfied with Kenya's progress since independence. Are you satisfied with Kenya's progress since independence? Send us your views at KTN News, at Yvonne Okwara. The hashtag to use is Worldview. You can also, no, this is a Twitter poll, so please use Twitter. All right, so like we promised you at the start of this show, we're going to be speaking to persons who represent the Diaspora voice on Worldview this afternoon. So joining me on phone all the way from India is Moses Isaacs, who's the president of Kenya Students in India and is also the global chair of the Diaspora Youth Council. Moses, good to talk to you this Jamhuri Day. Happy Jamhuri Day to you and all students in India.
Happy Jamhuri Day to you.
So tell me, what's it like? We've been reporting about how the celebrations have taken place across the various counties here in Kenya. But have you had some sort of celebrations today as the students in India?
Yeah, we have celebrated as Kenyans. We have assembled together. We have had had a come together as Kenyans, and we are joined by other countries. By Kenya and other countries from Africa and the Indians themselves. We have tried to talk of our problems and we condolence our people who died during the accident in Mombasa. And also we were talking about the progress and the political responsibilities we are supposed to play as citizens from diaspora. We encourage most of our members to register as voters. And those who are able to go back home. And mostly we are encouraging oneness as a country and every citizen to play his role as a citizen. We have seen the kind of sometimes the blame games which is going between the administration and the citizens. Citizens don't want to play their own. The administration don't want to play their own.
All right.
But as Diaspora people, we have seen the progress in other countries, and we are really want to come back home and implement the same.
All right. So, Moses, then talk to us about, what's going to happen in 2017, and that's the election. And we're talking about registering voters who are outside the country. What do you feel is the contribution of students such as yourselves and others in the diaspora in terms of voting and participating in the political discourse in the country?
Yeah, we are really, that's what we have been talking about for a long time, around 2 years ago. With our emphasis and we are privileged that they have taken the census of Kenyans who are here, and we are expecting to vote, to contribute as voters, because we want our voice also to be heard as Kenyans. And we are expecting to have a peaceful election and people to appoint leaders on not the lines of tribal, but on the lines of competent and able leaders.
Okay, finally, I want to let you go, but I want you to participate in our Twitter poll question. We're asking to all our viewers today, are you satisfied with Kenya's progress since independence?
About Kenya, we cannot say we appreciate what we have done as a country. The progress which has taken place as a country. Yeah, we have a road which is supposed to be done as a country. And we are seeing, we have the weak points which are supposed to be looked into, because where I am today is a country which was the same economical, the same graph with India, but today it is a bit further than Kenya. And we need to do something as Kenyans and as our leaders. That is what I can urge Kenyans to do. To work as Kenyans, not as tribal lines, not on political lines, as Kenyans. That's when we will achieve what we need as Kenyans.
Okay, thank you very much, Moses Isaacs, who is the president of the Kenya Students in India and the global chair of the Diaspora Youth Council. We thank you for your time all the way from India as you celebrate that. And we wish, of course, all Kenyans across the world a happy Jamhuri Day today. But let's go back to the focus of the celebrations in the epicenter, if you like. That is where that was happening with President Uhuru Kenyatta a little earlier. Chris Thairu was there and covered the president's speech a little earlier on this afternoon for us here on KTN News. Chris now joins me on phone. Chris, if you can, just summarize a little bit of the president's speech in its totality. We know we've reported here about what he said about foreign interference, if you like, in the country's election. But what were the highlights of the whole event and of the president's speech?
Well, a very good afternoon to you. And indeed, as you correctly put it, the president's speech mainly focused on what Kenyans are expecting, that is, the 2017 general elections. And his rallying call, or his caution to the international community, is that they should not try to interfere with the thinking of Kenyans. And according to him, is that there are few individuals who are being used by the international community to try and persuade people to vote in a certain manner. And for him, he was actually talking about some non-governmental organizations which are really taking funding from the international community, bringing back the money in Kenya, and trying to influence how people think and how people reason for certain individuals. And of course, he's cautioned them, saying that Kenya is a sovereign country, and yes, they don't need any persuasion or any influence from anyone, and they will be making that crucial decision when that time comes. That is the 8th of August, 2017. He's also touched on the ICC issue. Remember that him and the deputy president were suspects when they were being elected into office before their cases were dropped. And according to him, is that given the way the ICC has been taking its issues or conducting its cases, there is that likelihood that they are not being genuine and they are like being used by other international communities or other external forces to influence some decisions. And according to the president, is that maybe it's high time the country rethink on the relationship between Kenya and the International Criminal Court. That is through the Rome Statute. Remember that not once but twice the National Assembly has passed a motion that Kenya withdraws from the Rome Statute, but that has never actually been finalized because it's a law that is it's part of Kenyan law, and it also needs some directions from the Attorney General. Apart from that, the President has also highlighted on what his government has done for the last 4.5 years, even getting to a point where he so to speak, he was like campaigning for himself or campaigning for him and the Jubilee government, saying that they need a second term in office since what they have done, it has never been achieved in that short period of 4.5 years.
Yes, Chris, interesting because this will be his last Jamhuri Day celebrations that he was presiding over, obviously before the next general elections, if you like, the last one of his first term. You did say it sounded a bit like a campaign, statement, speech. And also, why would the ICC issue come up now? Like you said, we've tried this before. And I think his stand on this issue has been well known over the last couple of years, obviously, with the events we've seen happening with their cases being dropped. Is there any indication as to why this came up again today?
I'm not very sure why he decided to bring back the ICC issue, but I think from where I see it is because of the international community. Remember that we are heading to the general elections, and of course, next year we'll see a good number of people coming to Kenya. Those are from different foreign nations coming to Kenya just to be observers of the elections, and maybe from that, given that the international community, of course, has also some following from here in Kenya, and there are other leaders who actually heed to what they say. Maybe from there, that is why he brought out the issue to do with the ICC. And remember that the ICC issue really came out strongly after the disputed presidential election in 2007. And now that we are heading to the next general, that's the 2017 general election, maybe he also raised that issue regarding also that different or several African countries have already passed a motion or have already passed a decision to withdraw from the Rome Statute. And of course, not saying that we are heading to the next general elections. His rallying note or his rallying piece was that Kenyans should remain united regardless of who will be elected the next president of the Republic of Kenya.
Thank you very much. Chris Zairu, who covered the president.